I have to draw the similarities between the two situations. अभी जो वहाँ पे हो रहा है, पाकिस्तान में जो हो रहा है, and बांग्लादेश है, दोनों एक साथ erupt करके कोई do you see some grand plan कि coincidentally दोनों में हो गए हैं?
किसका ग्रैंड प्लान?
वही मैं deep state नहीं, coincidentally तो नहीं हो रहा ना?
नहीं,
बांग्लादेश की सिचुएशन अलग है.
हाँ.
It is a cohesive society, unlike Pakistan. Last 15 years, it has done very well economically. Their GDP, their reserves, $60 billion in textile exports. They have a much larger economy than Pakistan. And also Bangladesh is surrounded by all sides by India, 4,000 kilometers. So Pakistan ki situation alag hai. They've had more military coups. They have a hybrid system which has been refined by the army. They know how to rig elections, how to deal with various politicians and all that. In Bangladesh case, it is different. Now here, I think there has been a much larger foreign intervention to arrange this regime change than there has been in Pakistan.
The difference between Bangladesh and Pakistan on this foreign interference is that in the case of Pakistan, the foreign interference happens at the top levels. You are doing it with the military, or you are doing it with a major political party or the government. That is the level of intervention, whether it's from the Chinese side or from the Americans or anybody else. In the case of Bangladesh, it is I would imagine a lot more different, partly because of this whole NGO network which has spread in places like Bangladesh. And what the Pakistanis did under Nawaz Sharif's government, his last one, in the one which came into power in 2013, 2014, what they did was they went after the NGOs, got a firmer handle over many of these international NGOs and local NGOs which were getting funding from abroad. I'm not sure that happened in Bangladesh's case. So the ability to interfere in the political processes in Bangladesh and to use the NGOs as front to create to destabilize the country. We've seen efforts like that in India as well, right? And we haven't gone far enough in curtailing some of their activities. But in the case of Bangladesh, we've seen that if you allow these so-called NGOs, which are basically governmental organizations of the West, but they are non-governmental organizations in our context. They serve as tools for destabilization. I'm not saying all NGOs are like that, but many of them are actually kind of fronts for the establishments of other countries which want some leverage to interfere in other countries.
See, and this, in case of Bangladesh, one particular organization, I was reading an article, fascinating, International Republican Institute or something like that. They, since 2018, have been training so-called advocacy and young students on protests, especially on social media, on the internet, how to organize protests, how to get together people. And in their report, which they gave to the State Department, they said...
Where have they been doing this? In Bangladesh?
In Bangladesh. How do you organize on social media using the internet? They've supported bands. They've supported musicians. How to attract people. It's a fascinating, detailed article.
How does a country allow these people...
They've been working there since 2003, this particular organization. And in their latest report to the State Department, they said that while the BNP is a possible alternative, it is not popular. It does not have the bandwidth to replace the Awami League. Therefore, in this case, it will have to be done through social engineering, which means street protests. And this is precisely what happened. They used the example of the 2018 protests, mobilized the youth, and you see the results.
But mobilize the youth for what cause? For
It's regime change.
Regime change.
So through Islamic radicalization is also a toolkit which is fine to use.
This was not their part of it. The Islamic radicalization. I think this is where the miscalculation is.
So
that you thought you could have the youth to have a regime change, and then you have another government. They did not realize that in Bangladesh, such a strong undercurrent of the Jamaat of radicalization who have now taken over.
Click here to watch the full episode.